And today's guest on the Financial Planner Live podcast is Charlotte Waters. She is an award-winning chartered financial planner. And today we talk about prospecting, business development, generating relationships with business owners. And she gives some hints and tips on how she has done that. It's not easy. In the first couple of years, she self-admits she cried a lot when it came to business development. But 5 years later on, she is reaping the rewards. We talk about living a life with purpose, why running your own business isn't just about the financials, it's about freeing up your time to do what you want with your life when you want it. You're going to love this episode. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me today on the Financial Planner Live podcast. I'm in my makeshift home studio. It's not perfect, but I've tried my best. Obviously, we had a few setup problems there and you were talking me through it and calming me down. So thank you very much for that. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Really good. Nice to talk to you.
Good. Fantastic. So we were just saying, wasn't it? Like I've seen your name, I've seen your face, you pop up on LinkedIn, you've sort of commented and liked my content. And it's always lovely when I get to sit down and actually speak to people. And they're not just a LinkedIn profile. So thank you, so much for joining me. And today we want to find out, as per usual, what your career journey has been like within financial planning, how you got into the financial planning profession, and why others should join you in this wonderful profession, and hopefully inspire a few people either already in the profession to push forward or those outside of it to join. So I'll tell you what, why don't we just kick things off first? Can you just give us a bit of an introduction? Who are you? Where are you in your career at this point in time?
Yeah, so I'm Charlotte Waters, so I run Avail Financial Planning, and we are based in Woburn of Milton Keynes. So I've had the practice now for just over 2 years, primarily dealing with business owners and professionals, helping them to grow their businesses, extract profit tax efficiently, and then look at their exit strategy planning. We've got a small team. I've got two sort of an office manager, a PA, and a paraplanner. So we work really closely together, managing all stages of the client sort of journey. And yeah, there's no plans really at the moment to grow my team any further. Of course, as we need more people to manage the administration, there'll be that sort of side of things, but no plans for advisors as it stands at the moment. But yeah, that's us.
Interesting. So when you see growth of hires within your business, you see it more from a support function, not from a financial planner's function.
Yeah, I think my value is best added being with clients. So the more time I can spend out with clients, meeting people or networking, whatever that might be, and the back office team supporting me, producing all the paperwork that we need to do, all the compliance things, that will become, harder. We've got, lots of client reviews that we do regularly, and therefore they generate a lot of follow-up paperwork. So the more clients we take on, the more of that there's going to be, and therefore the need for more administration staff in the background.
Fantastic. Are you somebody that is, are you any good at administration? Do you like administration? Or are you somebody that would rather do as little of that as possible?
I really like to keep my hand in. So I've always had a thing about compliance. My mum's a big compliance person in a law firm, so I guess I get that from her. So I have a little bit of a control freak on that front. So I do like to read over the case notes, make sure before they go to business assurance that they are as we should expect. But equally, I do value that my time is better spent not sat behind a laptop doing administration. So yeah, I don't mind it, that's the word, but I much prefer being in front of people, talking to people, talking about their journeys and their plans. It's far more exciting.
Oh, no, I'm 100% the same. I much prefer, my happiest place is talking to people. When I have to sit down and actually go through any administration or building things out or writing things, it's tiring for me. It takes a lot of energy for me to do that. Whereas on the other side, talking to people, I get energized. I feel good. I get energized. I pick up opportunities. There's a huge amount of creativity that takes place through conversation, and I love that. You are somebody then, by the sounds of it, that is focusing on businesses as opposed to B2C. You're in the B2B space. Where and, sort of why has that happened? Because a lot of people are just focusing on B2C, aren't they, in financial planning?
Yeah, I think, if I'm honest, I kind of fell down that path. I think previously when I was a mortgage advisor, I worked with a lot of business owners in that regard. So naturally, I knew a lot. My network was business owners. And then from being self-employed myself and through my partner being self-employed, I utilized his network when I first started out. I went networking a lot. I would say in the early days, back 6 years ago, I was networking 2 to 3 days a week because that's how you build a brand, right? So I gravitated towards business owners. I made some really good relationships with some accountancy practices. They naturally deal with lots of business owners. So I sort of decided that that's where I was going to niche out. We do B2C stuff as well. But I would say that I'm specialist in that area, growing, extracting and helping clients to be their most tax efficient versions of themselves, really.
So when you've got people listening to this podcast and they're struggling to actually build those introducer relationships, what's a great approach to actually building a relationship with a business where potentially they could refer business to you?
I think it's really important to be your true self. So just because an accountancy practice might already have a financial advisor that they refer work to, doesn't mean that each and every one of their clients is suited to that specific individual. I am a genuine believer that even I should have a handful of professionals that I refer to, because actually there's a client, that suits one accountancy firm that won't work with the other because their relationship or their personality isn't the right. I think it's really important to remember that you are probably disposable to them, because there are significant amounts of wealth planners looking to build relationships with professional introducers. Do what you say you're going to do. Set your expectations. So tell them how you work. And then when the first 2, 3, 4 inquiries come through, manage them properly and keep them updated. They love being updated and kept informed because they've trusted you and sent their client to you. They want to know that they're not being, it's their reputation also on the line. So just maintaining that confidence. And I think communication is key.
Do you ever get involved in a meeting with both the introducer and the client? Do you ever get introduced at those stages, or does it tend to be something that happens after they've done their piece with the client? Let's say it's an accountant and they've done their piece and then they say, oh, I know somebody's a financial planner who can help you with the pension. Or do you ever get involved in double tag and team these clients?
Yeah, I would say it's half and half. I would say there are scenarios where they may have had a client on the books for many years and it just becomes more relevant, and then I get an introduction, or it will be that they're onboarding somebody. So one of my accountancy practices had been looking at onboarding somebody who's quite big in the TikTok industry, something both new to both them and us. So we worked together, had a couple of joint meetings talking about, business profit, how sustainable it is, longevity of that business, because, in the influencer space, there is probably a time limit depending on your personal brand of what you do. And so, yeah, in that scenario, I was brought in really at the early stages. And then sometimes it might be that they've known the accountant for years and it's just come to a point where they want to start looking at their pension planning. So I'll go to the accountancy practice and I'll see them at there if that's what they want us to do. So, yeah, really, really mixed, to be honest with you.
Really interesting what you said there about the TikTokers, because they are entertainers, essentially. Entertainers or sporting professionals may not have a typical career like everybody else, right? They may not build out wealth until they may not build out super amounts of wealth very, very quickly, but it might not be maintained. So I'm really interested in that meeting then. When you approached that meeting with that TikToker, did you learn a thing or two about their career and where they're going and the longevity of it and the fears and the worries that they might have? Are they thinking about financial plans?
Ish. I think it sort of came out of nowhere. So having that level of wealth was so quickly was quite surprising for them. So they've been doing well at spending. Also, longevity wise, they don't know what they're doing could be a bubble. So they don't want to put everything away for later, because actually, obviously from a tax perspective, pensions is going to be the most probably tax efficient form of savings at the moment for them, but they're not that old. So if the bubble bursts in 1 to 5 years and they've locked away all that money for retirement, but then they've got to start again and look at another career. So yeah, it's actually quite tricky, and it's really interesting to understand from their perspective that they don't actually know a lot either. And they don't really, TikTok just throw these things at them. And yeah, there's no real guarantee, is there? I'm much like probably in my job, there's no guarantee that clients are going to keep walking through the door. You got to work hard for it.
But in financial planning, you can build a business plan, can't you? You can go out, win clients. You know that there's a need for financial planning, and it's only going to happen more and more and more. And you can build a business model that is based around recurring income.
Yeah, less so on trends, I suppose. TikTok's more what trend, what craze, what fashion is going on here, there, and So yeah, really interesting, that one.
You never hear about financial planners who are specializing and niching down on social influencers. I haven't really come across many. I know a few advisors that have a few in there as clients, but there's nobody sort of hanging their hat on that YouTuber influencer market. Have you seen it?
There's one in that, well, I think an SJP partner that's based in the city.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, I have seen his website, and I'm pretty sure he is directed at focused on looking after influencers. I'm pretty certain of that.
Good. Well,
I'll have to find his name and send you a message. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, please do, because that'd be really interesting for me to talk to. So let's just talk about how you got into financial planning, because a lot of people who listen to this podcast are thinking about joining the financial planning profession.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, how you got into financial planning and why you chose this path as a career.
So I'll touch early career really quickly. So I actually started my career at McDonald's because I had left school, had some GCSEs, went to college, hated it, dropped out. So my dad basically made me get a job. So he got me a job at McDonald's, fine. And then within a couple of weeks, I was really good at it. I really enjoyed it. And my manager said to me, "Oh, do you want to go on the management program?" I was like, "Cool. Is it more money?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Great." So went on that. I think I was about 17 by this time. So went on the management program, and you go to London for like 3 days, big head office thing, come home, basically qualified, and you can run shifts. So I did that for, I think, a couple more years. Got promoted to an assistant store manager, was earning really good money. And I thought, right, can't do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to have to do something. So took quite a big pay drop. And I just thought, well, maybe I'll go and work at a bank. Don't know why. Just thought, why not? Yeah. Managed to get a job at Nationwide, working in the mortgage and insurance aftercare team. I really, really, really liked it. So I thought, I'll be a mortgage advisor. So I self-studied all of my CMAPs. Probably would have been 19, 20 at the time. Got all my CMAPs, and Nationwide said I couldn't become a mortgage advisor because it was too big a jump from the job that I did to go to a mortgage advisor, even though I was qualified. Fine. So I went out to the marketplace, applied for some mortgage advisor jobs, and got a job at Countrywide. It's based in a tailor's office for 3 years, I think I did it there. Went through the rankings, senior mortgage advisor, etc. And then I just hated it, if I'm honest. It was really high pressured. Clients want their mortgage offer before they've even found a house, really. And I took on that personal stress, to be honest with you. And so I decided that wasn't the job for me. One of my friends ran a mortgage practice in Milton Keynes. And he said to me, he happened to ring me one day and say, "Shah, are you coming to work for me yet?" And I was like, actually, let's talk. So I joined his team as just a protection specialist. And for the next few years, I just focused on helping his team write protection. I was probably writing circa £200,000 worth of protection business a year for him. And at that time, because I was doing more in-depth planning, so looking at the relevant life space, bit of business shareholder protection, clients would ask me, "Oh, can you help me with my pensions, or can you help me with whatever it is?" And I thought, no, but I could. So then I decided to self-study all my diploma. So I'm LIBF qualified. Became qualified late 2016, 17, early 17. And then decided in 2018 that I was going to go into full financial planning. Unfortunately, the network that my mortgage practice that I worked for under wouldn't authorise financial, and they wouldn't let us have a dual authorisation. So I didn't leave because for any other reason, but I wanted to do this job now. And so, went to market, applied for some jobs, got offered a few. I think the Wesleyan Prudential, an IFA firm locally, and then an SJP firm also. And that's when I decided to join SJP after some due diligence. And I've been here since June 2018 now. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for that breakdown. I've got a few questions around your whole journey, really, but I'm just going to start with one first of all. You ended up at St James's Place. You
Yeah.
joined a partner practice by the sounds of it, but you're now running your own partner practice. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How long were you in that partner practice for?
I had a bit of a sticky start. So I was only with the original practice a few months. It wasn't the right fit for varying reasons. And therefore I went back to, at the time, I think it was an acquisition manager. And they said to me, right, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's find another practice. So then in January 2019, I joined another local SJP practice and I was there for 3 years. So the first one probably not worth mentioning, but the second one, I learned loads, really great experience working together, growing my own client bank. Everything that I did pretty much was self-generated. So yeah, I would say it was a good experience, but the partner knew at the time that I always wanted to be a business owner and that was always part of my strategy. So therefore it would be either coming together when the time was right or that I would probably exit and have my own show, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. That 3 years then, when you were sitting underneath the other partner practice before you set your own business up, what level of support did you receive from that company? Was it a one-person company? Was it a company who employed multiple staff? Was it beneficial to you to be part of a partner practice before you went off on your own?
I think in the early days, yes, it definitely was. There was, I had access after a couple of years to a PA that would support me. But I paid for all my own power planning and things like that. I think being a non-experienced but qualified financial advisor gave me that safety blanket. I'm forever grateful to her for working my first maybe sort of 10 cases through with me, because it's, you know what you're doing, but it's actually having the confidence to go and do it. And I think if you've got somebody who's been doing it for 6-7 years previous to you, it just gives you that added bit of reassurance. And so we worked through those cases together. And I'd say that is probably the most invaluable thing that I got out of working with the business, basically.
When you reflect back on that 3 years, was it 3 years too long? Do you think you could have set up on your own a lot quicker?
Yes, probably. But I think everything happens for a reason, and that was just the right time.
What stops you from setting up sooner on your own?
I didn't need to, because we were working towards a joint goal, but the objective of the other person changed. So when their objectives changed, mine hadn't. I just sort of said to her, I completely understood her reasoning, but I wanted them to support me in an exit, to which they agreed. And that started in like November 2021. And then my FCA registration finally came through in April 2022. And I still worked under the practice. In that interim, we had an agreement that I could still practice under her license until that time, which was obviously very kind. And then I just transitioned into my new business.
Yeah, perfect. You came from mortgages into financial planning. So just tell us about that transition.
So it was quite hard, but because you know how to do a really good fact find and things like that, that bit was easy. So if you could get a conversation with a client and talk about financial planning, then great. I also had some inquiries from being a mortgage advisor. I had the same phone number, so that would happen and it would lead into conversations. I've mentioned my partner already, but he has a house building company. And so I would do some mortgages for people on his development. So that obviously gave me a short-term stream of clients. From there, I suppose I just sort of winged it a bit. I think that's until you meet probably your first 10 prospect clients, you go in there confident, you pretend like you know what you're doing, you do your fact finding, and you just have a conversation. You get to know that client as well as you possibly can do. And then you come away with all the information and you can put the plans together. You don't need to do it then and there. It's not, I don't need to be given financial advice at a first meeting. I could give them some ideas, some hints and tips maybe. And then that's when you come away and you do your learning. At SJP, we have endless amounts of resource available to us. So whether that be reaching out to another partner, obviously at the time I had the partner that I worked for. We have helplines, we have advice frameworks, we have everything. You can come away and you can do it. So yeah, it wasn't that easy, but also it wasn't impossible.
So you were writing mortgage business, protection business in the very, very beginning. So you were still sort of leaning into that?
Yep. So let's be honest, everyone's got a bottom line that they want to bring in. At the time, I saw a mortgage lead as an opportunity. So at that time, all my fact finds included pension information. Please, what pensions have you got? Because also as a mortgage advisor, now I do still work closely to quite a lot of mortgage advisors. It benefits them to know that a client has a pension. And in some scenarios, it actually helps them get a mortgage over the line. So yeah, let's ask all of that. And I'd just say to them, when's the last time you reviewed your pensions? I can almost guarantee every client will say, oh, I never have. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, well, all that paperwork shoved in a drawer. Do you want me to do an obligation review of that for you? And so mortgage and protection would come primary first. At that time, I would send off the LOAs for the pension stuff. And once all that was back in, we would have a look at what was there. The difficulty is with people getting a mortgage is generally they don't have any money because they're probably buying a house. And so all their money is going. So they haven't got cash to invest. But most of them have got historic pensions and probably don't know how they're working for them.
Very interesting. So you were leaning into that in the very beginning to use it as a way to open up conversations around financial planning.
Yeah, and also obviously bringing a steady stream of income at the same time, I suppose.
Okay. Leaning into what you knew you could get some mortgage applications across the line, and then recognizing ways to generate new income and doing those pension reviews. You mentioned there as well, obviously people do tend to max out when they get mortgages, don't they? They don't tend to have any money left over, most people, right? It's taking them so long to save it. But do you find that when you have those conversations around the pensions, or at least when you know that they have a mortgage with you, do you then sort of build out a marketing plan to keep in contact with them and touch base with them when you know perhaps they might need some more financial planning? Absolutely.
Obviously, it's at your earlier days, you're not just thinking about strategy, you're thinking about just getting clients. And I think that a client then is now a deeper client now, because the opportunity comes later potentially. Some of those clients may have been younger, some of them may have been a little bit older. But as they progress through their careers, nobody's as thankful as a mortgage client. The gifts that I used to get when I was just a mortgage advisor, the flowers, the cards, the chocolates, the wine, because they have a tangible asset at the end. So you can touch, see, feel it. Whereas your pension, you can't touch, see, feel it. So it's a completely different relationship. But if you've got clients that you've done mortgages for as well, actually, because they have touched the asset that you've helped them get and they loved it so much, they're forever grateful, and they're the clients that actually refer you endlessly. It's really odd.
That's a really great way of looking at it. But also ties in with that, the hierarchy of needs, doesn't it? Shelter is such an important need for a human being to have. So the actual helping somebody go through what is a very uncomfortable process of buying your first home or upgrading to the dream home that you always wanted. There is almost, like, I must admit that the mortgage advisor who helped me, it was really tricky for me to get a mortgage because I was a business owner and it was just my income, and I'd owned a property before and had to sell it because I was in a relationship that went pear-shaped. So it was really, really tricky. And I remember dealing with a mortgage advisor, and he, oh yeah, we'll get you this, we'll get you that. Anyway, I went and looked at this house and everything, came back and he was like, oh yeah, I can't help you. We can't give you the mortgage. My little heart was broken. I remember going back to the guy at CJ Hull, the estate agent. He said, don't worry about it. I know a guy and I'll introduce you to him. And that guy got me through the process and got me the mortgage. And the interesting thing was he was from the same network as well. So he's from the same mortgage network. So one mortgage advisor on that network has access to the same product range, right? Couldn't help me, whereas the other one could. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I was so grateful. I think I referred about 5 people into him. So he was happy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there is a deeper relationship with the mortgage advisor, and what a wonderful way to then transition into financial planning. opportunities. Transferring across then, so moving from mortgage advice into financial planning, completely different fee model.
Yep.
One's more long-term, build recurring income, takes time. The other is more transactional, bigger upfront fee, right?
Yep.
Did that cause you a lot of stress in the beginning? Did that put any pressure on you moving across, or were you sort of long-term paying? Was it short-term paying, long-term gain? Was that it?
Yeah. No, it's always been. Obviously, I know a lot of very successful mortgage advisors, and they earn an absolute fortune. But there is no. It's a keep going type of business. Whereas I get to build, grow, develop, speak to the same people every year, regularly. Anytime they want to do something and change something, they ring me, and I love that. Therefore, anybody that they recommend to me, I can almost guarantee is already a client before they sit at my desk. And then I have a saleable asset at the end of it. So from a commercial perspective, all I need to do is do my job well and do what I say I'm going to do. As long as I do that, my business is going to be saleable, and I'm going to have some incredible relationships on the way that isn't so transactional. I think with the mortgages, obviously, it is so transactional and so emotive. Yes, everyone needs a mortgage every 5 years, whatever that is. But you don't sit and learn about their lives, their goals, their aspirations, work with their families, really, not on like a deep level. So yeah, I think it was potentially short-term pain. But now I'm in an established position. I am, lucky. Well, I'm lucky. I've worked really hard. And I have established a business that allows me to, live more freely. I don't work horrible hours. I'm not one of these financial planners that wants to work 14 hours a day. That doesn't appeal to me. Money also, not my driver. Having time to give back is my driver. And so I just want to have enough money to do some nice things. I don't necessarily want to be a multi-millionaire. I don't care. I just want to have enough. And that is, it helps me to have that.
That's amazing. Giving back then, talk to me about that. That's obviously something purpose-led. Some people are driven by money, as you rightfully said, and they'll work every hour under the sun to achieve what that goal is. Now, when you're talking about being purpose-led, what you want to give back, what does that mean? What are you doing?
There's a few things that I do because I like to and that I enjoy them. The more I do of that, the better I perform in my business. Don't know why, just do. So I do mentor handful of people, primarily financial advisors. There is one or two that are not financial advisors that just, I suppose it's a bit more like an accountability person, because they know how to run their business, but they just need somebody to sort of check in and be that sort of person. So I do that. And I have a couple of SJP advisors that I look after. And I do get people reaching out to me via LinkedIn quite often. That just want to ask questions and pick my brains about becoming a financial advisor, etc. I just enjoy that. I do also volunteer at our local charity. So they support disadvantaged and vulnerable children, suicidal as young as 4. So that's at the Equestrian Centre. That's actually what I'm doing this afternoon. I go and work there on a Wednesday afternoon, every Wednesday, and work with the children. So we get them ready. We teach them to develop relationships with horses, and then take them to a classroom where they do sort of like mindfulness / positivity workbooks, etc., team building and things like that. So I really enjoy that. They've asked me to be on their committee for a couple of their events as well. So I'm helping them to, get together some auction prizes, raffle prizes, etc. So yeah, I enjoy that as well, because it's very local to us. It's very personal. So I really like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Are you into horses then? Is that your thing?
No, I'm petrified. So I actually went under a horse just before the summer holidays. So we're just going back from term time now. Me and a child ended up under a horse. Ooh. I was honestly, luckily, neither of us were hurt. It could have been so different. One of the other horses spooked our horse, and it literally ended up going over. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous to go back, but it will be fine. I think if they can do it, and how vulnerable these children are, I can do it. So do you know what? I learn loads. It's great for me. I think it's so good what they do for the children, and I just think, if they can do it, I can definitely do it.
I think when you give up your time into helping others, and I've done that a lot in my life, uh, whether it's helping somebody through depression, anxiety, the same suicidal ideations. I was on the board of directors for Talk Club, the men's mental fitness charity. I'm still part of that. When I went through the stages of giving up alcohol, I actually did a 12-step process. And a big part of that is you've got to help other people. It's part of the 12-step process, is giving back to others. I always find when I take the time to help others and there is no monetary gain involved, it is one of the most amazing things that you can do. There is the only, like the return you get back by seeing somebody develop and change or have a different perspective or improve as a person or just feel loved, feel connected and feel like they belong and they're worth something. But when you see that and you hear it and you understand the impact that you're having at that point, it just does something to you. It's like one of the most beautiful things that you can do. So I think the giving back element and being purpose driven, I think every business should be like that, and every person involved in a business in any way should give up their time and let their employees give up their time to giving back. It's a good thing. So I love that, mate. I absolutely love that. And with those children then, so why vulnerable, like where you said as young as 4 years old thinking about suicide and things like that, is this because they're coming from really broken homes? Do they have mental health problems? What's their stories?
It can be a range of things. So some are from underprivileged and deprived backgrounds. Some are not. Some are from very wealthy families that just have mental health problems. Might have been bullied at school. Maybe no rhyme or reason. That has just happened, or OCD, all those kinds of conditions that children unfortunately have now. Or they've just, it might not be that they have really anything like that, or they're just a very quiet person. Somewhere, their families have gone into care, they've been separated as children. So the Riding School looks after 120 children a week at the moment, all from Milton Keynes. So that just shows how many families we have that are in this problem area, I suppose. And then and they're not all underprivileged. So diverse range. I think
it's definitely non-discriminating, isn't it? It will affect everybody from every walk of life. No one is, everyone's susceptible. And I think there are some people more so than others, without a shadow of a doubt. And, we're all wired very differently as humans. Some people struggle to fit in. That's a real one that I've seen. It's just they just struggle to fit in life and can't find their place.
Yeah.
And that could be like a neurodivergence type situation. They find it difficult, like just genuinely interacting with people. And often they find themselves in a lonely, isolated place. And they don't even realize that they might have ASD or something along those lines. And until they have those conversations in a safe space and start interacting with other people, they start to recognize, okay, perhaps there's a reason why I'm this way and I feel that way. And having that safe space where people can talk instead of keeping it inside. Look, I'm a massively passionate person about this. So what you're doing now, I love it. So well done. Keep that up. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Business development is a struggle for a lot of people in financial planning. So they get their qualifications, get them under the belt, and then kind of almost think that because they got the qualifications, the clients will come to them, knocking on their door, asking for advice. Have you got any hints? Have you got any tips? Have you got any strategies that somebody could follow? So if someone came to you and said, I really need some help with business development, what would you say to them?
I'd say, who are you meeting this week? Okay. What are you doing to meet people? Unless you put yourself out there and go and meet people, it doesn't matter who they are. You don't even need to meet clients. You just need to meet people, because people bring opportunity. They might know the person that needs to know you. They might know the business owner that needs to know you, the accountant or the lawyer or the something. Like I said earlier on, I genuinely, probably 2, 3, 4 days a week, if I didn't have meetings, I didn't just sit at my desk, because that's not going to help. I just got out there. And that really paid dividend after about 2 years. It was really hard for 2 years. Not impossible, but hard. And then after 2 years, when I'd had so many clients, however many it was at that time, I'd start getting the referrals as well, but also I built a brand. I think for the first 2 years, I probably cried every day.
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, I get it.
But I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is the point? Is there any point? Got through it, obviously, eventually. And then I would say year 5, that's when it got really easy. Not easy. That's a hard, in comparison to what it was like, it just got easier. I guess that I'd established myself so much more. I had so many more clients under management. And so the referrals were just, I went on holiday last week. I come back to 4 really solid referrals, a couple from accountants and a couple from existing clients. So I don't have to worry now. If I take time off, where's the work coming from? It's not like I've just put my feet up and, worried about it. So yeah, I think just meet people, anyone.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point. Those first couple of years, if you put energy and effort into prospecting, it's going to pay dividends later on down the line. So it's not a job role really where you have to be prospecting every single day, because once you reach the limit of the clients that you can work with, you can pools and you can work on other areas of the business because you've got that level of recurring income in that you've been working hard to achieve. But those individuals don't just land on your lap, do they? You have to get out there. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to knock on a few doors. You have to meet a few people to be established and to be recognized and to be a trusted person that somebody can refer business into you. Is that why you went for business to business? Because of the referral aspects?
Not necessarily. I think because of the networking that I did, I generally was meeting more business owners. So it was just natural progression. And then business owners do generally know business owners. So yeah, I think it's more from that regard, really, that it just kind of happened, plus my existing network from before and utilizing people from a joint perspective from me and my partner who we already knew. I go to David Lloyd Gym. You can sit there all day and meet plenty of business owners. So building relationships in places like that, actually, because 9 times out of 10, if they're sat working from a laptop from there, it's because they're in between meetings or, so just utilizing everything that I already had. I didn't have to go and do loads more, but I had to be mindful of how much time I was doing, because if I didn't have anything else to do, why wouldn't I just go and do another networking meeting or something? Because actually sitting at home isn't going to bring me clients. And I think it's different in London. I think London networking, you have quite a lot of employed people. Whereas around the Milton Keynes area, when you go networking, most of the people that are there are actually self-employed or run their own businesses. So I think from area to area, that probably differs as well, depending on what types of groups you're attending.
So if someone was thinking about approaching business owners as clients, what would be your kind of killer questions, if you like, or biggest opportunities for business owners when it comes to financial planning?
Do they have one? Do they have a plan? What's their exit strategy? So a lot of business owners don't have a business plan. That baffles me. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know that you're going to get there? Or how do you know how to get there? So firstly, I say, let's sit down, curate your plan. What's your exit and work backwards? Also, then we can look at profit. How much, corporation tax are we paying? Is there any way that we can, extract the pensions? Let's speak to your accountant. Does it, meet the wholly and exclusively test? Can we do that? Looking after your staff. So staff retention. When's the last time you looked at your employee benefits packages? Are you offering them medical insurance? Because you might not be able to afford to give them a pay rise this year, but you might be able to afford to give them medical insurance. And that means they won't get that down the road. So they're not going to leave. So that's going to help you retain your staff and show that you're looking after them. Also, for a few local businesses, probably once a quarter, I go and do a drop-in. So from a mental wellbeing perspective, for the employer, they have me come and do an admin day. I'll base an admin day from their offices, and any of their staff can come and ask me any questions, whether that's help with pensions, want to retire, or invest in money, or I haven't got any money and I'm scared, talk to me. So that obviously gives me opportunity. It satisfies my objective of giving back a little. I think obviously financial education is quite important, although it's not you see a lot of financial advisors maybe on Instagram leading with that. That's not why I do it. It's not for Instagram. It's just I like to do it. And off the back of that, I do get the odd client that has like 4, 5, 6 pensions, and they say, "Oh, I want to work with somebody. I need advice. I want to retire in 6 years. Show me how I can do that." So yeah, for my time, I give half a day of my time. In return, I get opportunity. So think outside the box, go and meet people. Yeah, that's it. All part of my meeting people. At networking, I've met all these people, have these conversations with them, and that leads to opportunity.
Great. Give something away for free. I always think that's a value, even if it's just a 15-minute conversation.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've given something for free, like what I do with my podcast, is free content. People learn from it. I've been doing that for years. It costs me money to put a podcast out. That was my marketing budget in the recruitment business. I was spending it on creating a podcast that was giving back to others to teach them about a profession that doesn't really talk about what it's like to work in it. So people got a benefit that were in the profession because they could hear their peers talking for once. But other people were then aware of the profession and thought, well, now I get it. I understand it. I will come in. I will join the SJP Academy, or I will join that local IFA firm. I will pursue a career because I understand it more now. And then from that, the knock-on effect, as you rightfully said, like year 1, year 2, no one gives you anything.
Yeah.
And now I've got the likes of Legal in General as my client, and I'm producing their podcast. I've just produced the podcast for the PFS, Wealth of Women. I'm now the head of creative for a financial planning company, international and based in Dubai. You know, it's like I'm working with some amazing brands. It's like it's insane. So it's kind of like you don't get a quick return from things, right? But there are some quick wins. There are some snipers. You've got to make money in the beginning, but unfortunately, you got to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard in the beginning. And that's just the way it is. But some great tips and some great hints there around business owners. Now, being a female in the financial planning profession, there's not many of you. And does that give you an edge when you're out there as a financial planner? Are you working with men? Are you working with women, female clients? Is there an opportunity for females? There's a lot of women out there, not a lot of female financial advisors. Does that create an opportunity being a female?
I do feel like maybe controversial, but a lot of female financial advisors are like, power to the women. I only want to work with females. That is not me. I have 50-50, literally 50-50. I think it's 54 to 56% split or whatever it is on clients and business. Goodness me, male and female clients. Mm-hmm. So do I prefer one over the other? No, I don't. I think that each are different. So women are, I believe, financial planners. We're maybe a bit more meticulous. Just because of the detail, women are nosy. Like, we can ask questions, more questions than a man would ask, I believe. Yeah. And that's just because that's what we do. So can I put a strategy together and I can almost guarantee the client's not going to say no because of how well I know them and all the questions that I've asked? Probably. I like working with women, but only women that want to take control. I'm not necessarily the right person that needs somebody who's going to babysit them because I'm not very fluffy.
Right.
So I don't match, and I'll always know if the client is not right if I'm not right for the client and they're not right for me. Right. Men, really straightforward. As long as I go, this is what we're going to do and this is why, they're like, great. Any questions? No. Perfect. So it's more, I would say, rather than men versus women, it's more people who have a direct approach that I just gravitate towards because it's, this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. How does it sound? Great. Lovely. Done.
Working with the clients that you want to work with and having the courage to turn down the ones that you know are not right. The amount of times I've made a mistake where I've taken somebody on for the money in whatever line of work, and I've just been like, oh God, I got to deal with that person again. Oh my God.
And it creates more hassle than it's worth, doesn't it?
And they want the moon on a stick and they're asking for more from you. And you're thinking, hang about, you're taking the piss here. And I've had to dump a few clients in the past because of that, but I feel good for it. I like working with people who I work with who value what it is that I do and aren't constantly critiquing or criticizing me. I love feedback, don't get me wrong.
But mutual respect.
Yeah, I'm not that subservient type relationship. It's not for me. I've never been like that in any, even in my running a company. I've always been very on the same level as everybody else. I don't particularly want to have that hierarchy within a business, for instance. I don't like it. I like working with people. I like being creative with people, working alongside, learning from that person, they learn from me, and having that openness. And I think it builds a stronger, deeper relationship. So, and I think when it's a conversation about money, I mean, you need that, don't you? You do need to know what you're talking about and being qualified and being that person who can say, look, I think maybe you're making the wrong decision or the right decision or whatnot. But at the same time, though, I think it's quite an emotive journey. So you have to be willing to open up, haven't you, and be a bit nosy, like you say. That's some of the women. I like talking to women for that very reason. That women tend to go a bit deeper than men do.
We overshare.
Yeah, but I'm also very analytical when I break things down all the time. I like to go deeper and further. I'm interested in more and more and more and more. And I think women have a natural ability to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Some men do, of course, obviously. But you tend to find those men are also men that spend quite a lot of time with women as well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So I think that there is that. What was I doing? I was just saying I don't want like my podcast, for instance, as I explained to the new social media manager today, I don't want my podcast or my brand to be appealing to just men or just women. I'm looking for that complete inclusivity. I want everybody to be interested in it. And I want to talk to everybody in a way that I would talk to them and be relatable to everybody. Yeah. I think it's possible. But some people like to hang their hat on being quite, male, or they like to be hanging their hat on being quite feminine. But it's brand, isn't it? It's who you're appealing to, and are you even niching down into a specific sex? And do you even need to? For me, I can't be that way because I'm trying to create a fully inclusive profession. I'm trying to be this conduit to the profession and show people what it's like. And we're all different in this profession. We're all doing different jobs and we're all working in different ways and we will have our different personalities. And I think it's important to showcase that.
I think you can have a look at me. Like, for example, I wouldn't say that I'm a traditional financial planner. Am I going to turn up in a suit? No, I'm not. So if you want somebody in a suit to come, you're not going to work with me. And I always actually struggle with that. I always think, what am I supposed to wear? And I do ask my clients don't care. I can turn up in jeans and a hoodie for all they.
But I've always been a black jeans and a black t-shirt guy because the less I have to think about what I have to wear, the happier I am. When I'm having to think about, am I wearing a shirt and tie? And I feel uncomfortable with those, actually. It doesn't make me feel creative. It doesn't make me feel like I want to put those clothes on. Whereas a jeans and a t-shirt, I'm smart with it. I feel like, right, I'm relaxed now. I can actually get on with what I want to do because I'm wearing the clothes that I want to wear. And more often than not, I've sat down with some really wealthy people over my time, and most of them are scruff bags. Some of the most wealthiest people I know are just, you wouldn't have a clue that they were wealthy because to look at, you think they're just scruff bags. Yep. But, and I don't know, it's a funny one. The image, I think, of a financial planner is changing a lot. And I think people have to dress according to the clients that they're looking after. And when you look at social media, YouTube, and being able to go into somebody's living room and create content, and be on their TV in their living room, does somebody want someone in their living room in a shirt and tie? Or do they want somebody in their living room whilst they're on the couch watching it, wearing a t-shirt and relaxed in their environment? And I suppose because I'm a social media person, I prefer that approach because most people are trying to relax when they're watching content, and I want to be relaxed with them,
Yeah, fully agreed.
Listen, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for sharing your career journey on the Financial Planner Life podcast. It's obviously been a wonderful experience for you transitioning from mortgage advice into financial advice. It's definitely an area I think we can attract more financial planners. Is from the mortgage profession. I think if mortgage advisors just understand that transition can happen and could create a recurring income for you as well, is hugely beneficial. But you don't have to give up selling mortgages. You don't have to give up advising on that whatsoever. It can be part of your strategy. It was your strategy at St. James's Place. Now you've got your own partner practice and you're living the life that you want to live. You're helping other people, you're delivering financial planning, and you're working with professional introducers. And it sounds to me like you're having a wicked time. So thank you so much for sharing your journey today.
Thanks, Sam.
Cheers.